You already know what it is. It's Workout Wednesday. What's going on with ya, big dog? And it is an amazing Workout Wednesday. Hopefully inspiring you to take your workout game to the next level or getting you on track to being a healthier you. So for this Workout Wednesday, I actually want to talk about if you are on that journey bringing in a friend, and if you are starting on that journey, make sure to go with somebody. Working out with someone, whether it's a close significant other or just a friend, has so many amazing benefits. I just recently started working out with Sabrina, and it's like, boy, it changes your entire experience. Now we bike together. We bike together. She doesn't do any of the hardcore stuff I do, but we bike together. She is starting to pump a little iron though, so she might get a little too strong. But ultimately, it is just amazing being there with somebody, and hopefully you can get somebody to go with you on your gym journey. It is an amazing experience. One thing that is also amazing is the new meta tier list post Battles of Chaos, or Battle of Chaos because there's no S. The Forbidden list also made a really good twist, so it's exciting to see where these decks are going to stack up with in the upcoming meta. So let's go ahead and jump on in and start talking about these 5 particular tiers. But before I do, I want to say 2 things. First, if you want to get a deeper dive into this tier list and discuss about it, then go ahead and join my Discord. Also, I am streaming today, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Some Master Duel content is 100% on your way. With that being said, we do have 5 different categories here. Meta Changer are not necessarily above the tier 1 strategies. They are tier 1 strategies. But as you guys should know, there is a sliding scale with decks. These are the strategies that define the entire meta. And of course, I'll be able to explain why. Now, tier 1 decks can definitely tussle with the Meta Changer decks, but they're on a lower scale of the Meta Changer decks for that particular reason. Tier 2 decks are the decks that are really good in today's Yu-Gi-Oh! They're very solid choices. They're not represented enough to be considered tier 1, and they're probably a little bit better than Rogue, but sometimes, I'm not even gonna cap, they're Rogue decks with the potential of tier 1. And then Rogue, there's no slight to Rogue whatsoever, guys. Rogue strategies are the strategies that require the big brain Jane to be able to play. So if you are a player and see your strategy go into the Rogue category, do not fret. It means that your deck is still fairly good inside of this format. It just may not have the best interactions against the tiers above it. And then lastly is everybody's favorite tier. Oh no, what are you doing, baby? These are the strategies you should seriously consider not playing. Now, there's going to be quite a few decks in here from the Battles of Chaos just because they were introduced in Battles of Chaos. Let's go ahead and talk about them. The first strategy actually is not introduced in Battle of Chaos. It's actually Dinosaurs. A lot of players consider Dinosaurs as a rogue strategy. Personally, I think you're dead wrong. I consider Dinos a tier 1 strategy. Nani? And allow me to explain to you why. But before I do, it's not a tier 1 strategy. It's a tier 2 strategy. And it's actually the perfect example of what you would consider a rogue strat or a tier 2 strategy. Some players may feel it's rogue. It doesn't have enough representation to be tier 1, but this deck is a crusher in the format. The reason why this particular strategy is just so good in today's Yu-Gi-Oh! Is because so many decks are relying on tokens. Well, Lost World takes full advantage of your opponent using tokens because you can easily destroy those tokens to trigger your Lost World. Also, Token Collector coming back into the format not only allows you to have some cool interactions with Lost World in itself, but also being able to stop your opponent's tokens. You also gotta say, since Artifact Scythe is a dominant card inside of Yu-Gi-Oh! Well, Ultimate Conductor Tyrannoid, an extra deck monster, he don't care. Summon the 3500 beater and crack your opponent's board. Dinos do really well inside of a format where there are tons and tons of multiple negation type decks, as Misc allows you to get that full protection, and then you proceed to break your opponent's board on the way to making yours. Moving forward, I gotta say our first, oh no, what are you doing, baby? S-Force got really got some insane support. Retractor and Laplace are exactly what you need for S-Force, especially Laplace allowing you to, or Placewell allowing you to special summon a S-Force monster to your side of the field. That is insane. Retroactive allow you to link summon using that card in his hand. I know I'm saying its name wrong, but you get what I'm saying. The cards are flashing on screen. The only unfortunate thing about S-Force is that almost any form of disruption kind of leaves you stranded with a board, and it requires quite the bit of resources. Regardless, I do think that a dedicated S-Force player can make it rogue, but you'd have to be really dedicated to the strategy just for it to be rogue. Don't play this strategy, guys. I know that it may seem enticing because it's cheap and the new Battle of Chaos support, but it's not there just yet. It could be a little bit of bias, Cali, just straight up saying, F the police, you know, time thieves forever, but you know. Moving on, Burning Abyss is a very, very good tier 2 strategy. Players sleep on this strategy. Not only did the Forbidden List give it Fairy Tale Snow, which was huge, it also got the Link monster, Dark the Dark Charmer, from the set, which allows it to link climb just a little bit easier, even using your opponent's monsters. There's also Beatrice, Lady of the Eternal, being able to send Fairy Tale Snow from the deck to the graveyard, and the deck still has access to Divine Arsenal Bully Zeus. I still haven't even gotten to the best parts about Burning Abyss. Orbital Hydrolander feels like Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, as not only is it a monster you can just slam to your side of the field when they scythe lock you and you like, what? I can still summon big monsters. It's also strong enough to be able to attack over Wandering Griffin Rider and destroy cards on your opponent's side of the field. On top of that, this strategy plays some of the best traps to perfection. Torrential Tribute and Paleozoic Dynamiscus are amazing inside of this format. Do not sleep on Burning Abyss. It's a very solid deck. The Nordic strategy that just got supported inside of Battle of Chaos is another, oh no, what are you doing, baby? Seriously, when it comes to competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm so sorry. Don't attempt to play these decks in a genuine competitive circuit, guys. But the Nordic strategy did get a lot better. The Nordic trap card does allow you to negate your opponent's monsters on their field. That is virtuoso. The problem is that the Nordic synchro monsters are fairly underwhelming. Nordic as an entire strategy is underwhelming. Maybe I'm just a little bit of God card bias going on. I'm more of an Egyptian God guy. But the Nordic strategy is overall just not great inside of a competitive setting. Definitely a lot better than what it was coming into the Battle of Chaos set, but not 100% competitive. Moving forward, the Vampire strategy is actually rogue. Nani? Hold on, Vampires rogue? Bro, Vampire Ghost is a card that should have came out 3 years ago in Dark Saviors, and I'm very upset. Not only does it allow you to send a vampire monster from your deck to the graveyard, it gets you a free normal summon. This is exactly what the vampire strategy needed to be able to bridge the gap to summon some of its higher level vampire monsters and search its lower level vampire monsters, sending it to the graveyard. In my humble opinion, this is actually the better strategy to be able to use Zombie World in, as you can hard make Beatrice, Lady of the Eternal in this side of this deck with 2 level 6 monsters, meaning that at the end sequence you can send Necro or Banshee, which will activate Zombie World, really problematic against some of the top decks, and then send Doom King Balladrock as well, summoning itself to your side of the field. It's also the best deck to use Vampire Sucker because, you know, vampire status. Adamantine Beater is another rogue deck. Let's face it, Adamantine Beater makes some really good boards. Unfortunately, Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess is not one of those cards when you want to consider really good boards, and allow me to elaborate a little bit deeper. Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess loses hard to cards like Forbidden Chalice and Forbidden Droplet, cards that are very prevalent in this format for Wandering Griffin Rider and Artifact Scythe. And Appaloosa also loses to Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, another card that is extremely prevalent inside of this format because it's good. Let's go ahead and face it. Adamantine Beater does make some really good boards, guys. The problem with Adamantine Beater is that Block Dragon is still banned, Union Carrier is still banned, and also you can make this really cool board, but once it gets broken, Adamantine Beater doesn't have that rebound department that some of the other combo-centric decks does. What I'm essentially saying is that there are just better combo-centric decks. Adamantine Beater will forever be rock solid in my heart, though. Moving forward, Invoked. Oh my, Invoked is still a tier 1, boy! Have you heard of normal summon Alistair? It's not your graveyard, it's our graveyard. Seriously though, Invoked is crazy good in Yu-Gi-Oh! And people think that the Forbidden List did not hurt Invoked. It actually did. Losing both from the Deer Servant and Fusion Destiny to 2, that sucked. And also Artifact Lancia or Artifact Scythe not getting on the ban list sucks, because this is a deck that needs to fusion summon almost every single turn, which is the reason why Dogmatic Punishment isn't as powerful for this deck. And once you lock it out of doing that, it just kind of has to rely on its million hand traps, and that's pretty much it. I do think that Invoked is still a very, very solid tier 1 deck because of Shut All Winda, being able to stop multiple decks from special summoning myriad of times. But you can only rely on Winda so many times because, again, Droplet, Imperm, and of course Forbidden Chalice are still in the format. Altergeist, a very, very solid tier 2 deck, where Altergeist definitely did lose out on cards like Impermanence and the Secret Village of the Spellcasters not being as powerful. It does make up for it that it still plays trap cards, guys. Trap cards are ridiculously good in Yu-Gi-Oh right now. Torrential Tribute being able to knock the whole board out. And then what makes it better is that you can chain the effect of Multi-Faker afterwards, summoning it to your side of the field and getting your combo started. I definitely do think that Altergeist is a very solid tier 2 deck that the right player can definitely win some huge events with. From there, where do we put B-Troopers? I gotta say, man, B-Troopers is a meta changer deck. Let's go! What you thought, boy? You bugging if you don't think B-Troopers is anything above Rogue. I'm sorry. I tried my best. B-Troopers could almost be, oh no, what are you doing, baby? But the only difference between B-Trooper and these decks is that B-Trooper actually has a solid thing going on. It can play through interactions. And yes, Artifact Scythe definitely knocks this deck on its butt. As long as, you know, Destiny or Fusion Destiny hitting it. But the new Dragon Bite card from the set does give B-Troopers just a little bit of hope to still stay in competitive contention. Blue Eyes, guys, Blue Eyes. This is another one of those, oh no, what are you doing, baby? Do not play Blue Eyes if you are trying to win Yu-Gi-Oh card games. This goes for you Master Duel players too. Stop playing Blue Eyes. It really sucks because it is 2022 and I have still yet to see a Blue Eyes player win a game. And it's kind of crazy. And I'm like, oh, I'm pulling for you guys. I want y'all to win, but I'm just gonna be a realist, guys. It ain't happening, Chief. The reason why Blue Eyes isn't good right now is because the support didn't necessarily help. You want the deck to become more consistent, not get more gadget cards. And while you guys still have Dictator of D. Oh, you dictate the D. Lord of D, Rider of D. That's the card that comes next. Really, Blue Eyes players? Come on. But in all seriousness, guys, Dictator of D is not a bad card. Unfortunately, that's not enough. Blue Eyes is regulated to Hacklefibrix combos. The only problem with that is that there are decks that play Hacklefibrix just a little better than Blue Eyes can. Cyber Dragon. Oh man, this deck is rogue. There's no ifs, ands, and buts behind it. Cyber Dragon does really good in a link-based format where the biggest monsters that you put on your side of the field go into the extra monster zone. Unfortunately, the top decks, for the most part, don't necessarily need the extra monster zone. You can still catch a player slipping. Blue Eyes is also a very solid going second OTK type deck. Just OTK your opponent. But the problem is this deck will struggle when going first, making Red Eyes Dark Dragoon or Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer plus a Cyber Dragon Infinity. That's not going to cut it in today's Yu-Gi-Oh anymore, especially if it doesn't consistently have follow-up, which you don't want to be continuously going second against some of these other decks. DDD, where I put DDD, guys. I think DDD it got a lot better. I want to put it in Rogue. I really do. And the reason why I feel DDD is Rogue is because while DD Griffin and Device King Deuce Machinex solve a lot of the deck's problems. The problem with DDD is that it's still 3 and 4 card combos to make some of the best boards. And DDD's in boards aren't like menacing. Like they're not genuine Omni negates. But I mean, it is a great going second deck. It can be able to play through negations in itself. DD Headhunt and Device or Deuce King Machinex are very, very powerful cards. I think I gotta put it in a solid tier 2 status. A really good DDD player knows what he's doing, and he can play through these particular options with DDD, and the deck has a solid grind game. Moving forward, Despia. Oh, how the mighty are falling. I think Despia were tier 2 at one point in time. I have to say that Wandering Griffin Rider stops some of Despia's best cards. The best way to probably play Despia, I might have to give it a little more testing, but the current way in my mind is Invoked, which means you're probably better off playing Dogmatica Shaddoll Invoked. And Artifact Scythe does lock you out. So I think it would struggle against some of the top decks, but that doesn't mean it's not a solid deck. Can't wait for the structure deck to give this deck more support. Dinomorphia, guys. Where do I put Dinomorphia? This is a Dino deck, guys. So I got to get the same praise as Dino. Look, if you're going to be playing a Dino Engine in Dinomorphia, you are genuinely, oh no, what are you doing, baby? This deck is, no. It just, you're literally, just play Dino. Just play Dino. Dino has everything going for it right now. It's a far superior deck. But if you're playing Dinomorphia as pure, it's rogue. It's really rogue. It has really nice interactions with cards like Solemn Judgment. I'll give it that. And the ability to pay half your life points until you're down to like 1.5 life points, that's kind of cool. But what this Dinomorphia deck lacks is to be able to consistently get into its pieces. I think that it was really reliant on its trap cards being like ultrally good blowout cards, which unfortunately did not happen in the way that you would want them to happen. But regardless, Dinomorphia is a solid like one punch type, really go fast type deck, and they have some of the best draw cards in their arsenal. Zombie World is almost an oh no, what are you doing, baby? Seriously, it is genuinely, actually I'm gonna keep it there. I'm gonna keep it in oh no, what are you doing, baby? And this is a hot take. The sole reason why this is an oh no, what are you doing, baby, is if you are playing this deck pure, I feel that genuinely you are playing this deck wrong. This deck can literally be played inside of the Vampire strategy, and the Vampire strategy can do everything, which is the Necro Banshee in the graveyard or on the field, getting into your Zombie World with the Doom King Balladrock without all of the extra stuff that you have to do, without an Ash Blossom just ruining your entire turn. It's just a worse deck than Vampires. And it's even a worse deck than one of the best decks in Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is Eldritch, a complete meta changer. And that's why I gotta put zombies right there. Now, I can't even see a spot where I'm wrong, because the only thing that this deck does is do what exactly what these two other decks can 100% do way better, as well as do their natural combo. But Eldritch is easily a meta changer deck because you gotta respect it. You gotta respect Rival of the Warlords and Gozen Match inside of the same deck, inside of the main board. You gotta respect Skill Drain. You gotta respect Hakudo being able to banish your important cards like Destiny Hero, Phoenix Enforcer, and Conquistador being able to banish your or destroy your important cards. You have to respect the fact that this deck can be an engine inside of other strategies like Invoked, Live Twin, Zombie. It can be whatever it wants to be. It can be 30 traps, it can be this, it can be that. It is one of the best decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! And is the reason why players are starting to main board Cosmic Cyclones and sideboard evenly matched. Moving forward, I think that heroes are, they're a good tier 2 deck. I think this deck is best suited for going second and OTKing your opponent. I actually have a Gauntlet series where I go against some of the top decks. And we start off with a hero build that runs like Sunriser and stuff. And then we wind up just like, no, we're going to make DPE or OTK our opponent. That's pretty much it. And I think that's where heroes are best suited. Shaddoll feels like an oh no, what are you doing, baby? And How the Mighty Have Fallen. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and give it Rogue. I think Sol and Luna might actually do some really wonderful things for this strategy, because it does allow you to get your Shaddoll flip effects and then potentially search Shaddoll Fusion or destroy an opponent's card. That can actually be dope. And some of the trap cards that you play inside of Burning Abyss and Altergeist, you can play inside of Shaddoll. Needle Sealing, Paleozoic Dynamiscus still will trigger your Shaddoll cards, and Torrential Tribute. That's pretty good. So the only problem with Shaddolls is that they really screwed you over by making bad elemental Shaddolls. Like, Ariel's okay, but if Ariel had a better effect, like a better flip effect, or like just like a better mid-game effect instead of some disruption card or a special summon card, then your App Cologne, not your App Cologne, I'm sorry, your water monster, I forget the name of it. What is the name? What is the name? Nephilim? Oh, I'm so sorry, Shaddolls. How could I forget your name? Anoyatilis. Anoyatilis is actually a fairly decent card. Same thing with Shaddoll Shekinaga. Shekinaga is phenomenal. The problem with it is that the Earth Shaddoll is not great. The Water Shaddoll is awkward for Shaddolls. The Fire Shaddoll is not great. Like, so Grista is not as good. But yeah, that's literally the only problem with the Shaddoll strategy, is if you can find a way to incorporate those elements inside of Shaddoll, it becomes a lot better of a deck. Live Twins are another great tier 2 deck. The good thing about Live Twins is that you can play a ton of hand traps, which you'll probably need to be able to stop your opponent from going full combo. And that since the deck can make one card starters, one card full combo in itself, it kind of compensates, as well as getting you resources and destroying your opponent's cards along the way. I feel like the new Trouble Sunny Snitch, the Link 4 card, helps a ton, as well as its ability to play like 12 search cards inside of the deck. It can play with Eldritch, it can play with Unchained. It's just an overall really good deck. Floowandereeze, guys. The bird is the word. Floowandereeze are one of the best decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! And if you want to see a deck profile, go ahead and let me know. But Floowandereeze are incredibly powerful right now. There is some hidden support inside of Battles of Chaos that makes this deadly, and it's not Floowandereeze Affinity Adventure. Regardless, Floowandereeze the Affinity Adventure is still really good, being able to fake out your opponent's cards like Infinite Impermanence, Effect Veiler, Normal Negations, and search the cards that you need. This deck can actually summon Mist Valley, Apex Avian, and Impin on the first turn, and then follow with the Barrier Statue. This deck is ridiculous, doesn't care about Scythe, actually doesn't care about your negations if you play the deck right. You really gotta watch out for Floowandereeze, or they will Floowandereeze your head. Next is Unchained, very solid rogue deck. I think that this is one of the better beginner intro decks, as it does teach your opponent or the player interaction with destruction, as well as how to douchely link summon and link off with your opponent's cards. Unchained also can be mixed inside of Live Twin, makes a very powerful deck. You can play it inside of Eldritch. That's a pretty good deck. You can even play it inside of, what's that strategy that's not, it doesn't, Evil Eye. There you go. Evil Eye isn't bad. It's just like, you know, it's missing a couple of cards. This is one of those rogue strategy that does take a player that knows what he's doing to be able to operate. Dark Magician. Is it right side of Blue Eyes with oh no, what are you doing, baby? Unfortunately, Konami actually likes Dark Magician. It's good. Dark Magician is really good. The Illusion Magician is actually, he's solid, dog. He searches Magician Souls. It solves a lot of the problems. It gives you searchability. Literally, what they did for Dark Magician is what they should have done with Blue Eyes. The Dark Magician support just makes the deck more consistent. That's all it did. And a more consistent Dark Magician is welcome because the strategy is fairly good. It can incorporate Skill Drain in the main board, Torrential Tributes, really good trap cards to be able to slow your opponent down. It's overall solid. And Dark Magical Circle is non-targeting banishment, and people aren't even prepared for Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. So yeah, Dark Magician kind of got the good support while Blue Eyes didn't get the great support. Libromancer is easily, oh no, what are you doing, baby? Unfortunately, Libromancer doesn't have all of the correct cards right now. It's an archetype that can grow and get better as time goes on. I do think that the archetype, the support it has right now is pretty decent. The problem is that Libromancer doesn't have that oomph card. You know, that card that just says, wow, like the blowout card that gives you all sorts of advantage or does something that really debilitates your opponent. So that's the only problem with Libromancers. Lyrilusk is one of the cheapest, most powerful tier 1 decks, and it's crazy. So how do you combat Wandering Griffin Rider and Artifact Lancia? Well, you just play Chalices and Droplets, and then you play a whole bunch of hand traps. But more importantly, being able to make Zeus, being able to make some of the best rank 1s in the game attack directly and OTK your opponent. SM Blue is no joke, being able to bounce your opponent's special summon monsters. This deck is actually really good, even with the loss of Samorg, the Bird of Divinity or Sovereignty. This strategy, Tri-Brigade Lyrilusk, is still one of the top decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! MADOLCHE is a really good tier 2 deck. The problem with MADOLCHE is playing around that Artifact Scythe lock, but you definitely have the room to be able to play around it and OTK your opponent if going second. When going first, protecting your Gozen match will probably be your best bet, as you can literally knock some of the best decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Out of the game just by protecting your Gozen match with your MADOLCHE trap card. Prank Kids, you should already know, is a tier 1 deck. This deck is so good. It's solid. It's just solid. And again, the reason why, like I said in my meta tier list, or my meta best decks, top 5 decks in Yu-Gi-Oh!, is that Mystic Mine is a really good card. So when you get Artifact Scythe, you just activate Mystic Mine, and then you're like, yo, let me come back next turn, and you just destroy your opponent from there. Battle Butler still being able to wreck your opponent's entire board twice because of Meow Meow Mew is still fairly good. Rocket Dragon Link requires a dedicated Rocket player, but unlike the rogue strategies, it's a lot more rewarding to play. Seal and Tiding, I don't think will ever go away, ever in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's really weird how Seal and Tiding have survived almost 3 years, 2 years of Yu-Gi-Oh! I believe, and they're still like ridiculously good. I mean, they get some new toys, Dark the Dark Charmer with Battle of Chaos, and possibly even some Chaos cards you can incorporate with Rocket Dragon Link, but overall, just a solid deck. Same thing with Solomon Great. Both of these decks do have the same problems. That is Artifact Lancia, Wandering Griffin Rider. But overall, it's solid tier 2 decks that can take on some of the tier 1 and better than Rogue. These two strategies are it. Solomon Great being able to rage and roar. It can play the the adventure token engine. I keep getting them confused with Brave token and adventure token. Same thing though. And still be able to make its board. So it actually has more protection from Nibiru and got a little better. Sharks, guys. Where would I put Sharks? I feel that Sharks, I want to say Sharks are tier 2. Because Sharks do suffer from the exact same problem as these three. Actually, all four of the, I think all these decks down here, for the exception of Dino, suffer from the same problem. Sharks are really good because of double totally awesome, being able to steal your opponent's card and get water resources from the graveyard. And then Utopic Draco Future. The problem with Sharks is that this particular strategy is a little bit too expensive now. Players have bought out Bahamut Shark. They've been buying out Shark cards. And it makes it harder to get to, but I think once this deck becomes a little bit more accessible with the new set that's coming out very soon, the Abyss in the Deep. I'm pretty sure it's called Abyss of Chaos, knowing Konami or whatever. This deck becomes a little bit more accessible, and I think we'll see more of it. Sky Striker's tier 1, guys. It's funny how this deck literally did not go anywhere, but players have been playing it less, which is weird. So the reason why Sky Strikers is tier 1 is because, yes, you can artifact Scythe them. But they're playing the game for the long run anyways. So go ahead and Scythe them. They're going to set their back row, and then, you're going to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's going to be a grinding game. The crazy thing is that this deck can interact with both Destiny Hero, Phoenix Enforcer, and Scythe to the worst way. Let's say you Scythe them, and you get later into the game. Well, they can use Shark Cannon to special summon Scythe to their side of the field and trigger your Scythe for you to stop you from playing Yu-Gi-Oh! They can also do the same thing with Destiny Hero, Phoenix Enforcer, negating it with Widow Anchor and taking it, or special summoning it to the side of the field when you want to get it off and then linking it off so you can't get its effects. This deck is really, really saucy and is way better. It's hands down a tier 1 deck. Kana, I love you. We have a dedicated Subterror player inside of the Discord, and she's going to be, I don't think she's going to like it when I put Subterror here. But the reason why Subterror are here is because it feels like every back row heavy deck does what Subterror does, except better. This deck can't play Torrential Tribute. It can't play Dino-Miscus that well, unlike some of the other back row heavy decks. It just doesn't have what it takes. Dragoon is a great card, and I think the Dragoon build may be a little better, but you have to play so many bricks inside of Subterror, it feels like not worth it. So that leaves Subterror at the bottom of the category. Like, don't get me wrong, I do think that it is a rogue deck, but it's only rogue because it's just not completely trash, and it does have applications against the meta. But if we're talking about, like, would you rather play this other than another back row deck? The answer is no, guys. I'm so sorry, Subterror players and zombie players. I'm so sorry, because you guys are really rogue decks, but there are decks that just do your job better right now. Moving forward, Sword Soul is easily a meta changer deck, guys, and this deck got disgusting. Emergency Teleport should have never came off the list. I made a very bad mistake. Emergency Teleport should have came off the list. So Sword Soul has evolved from, yo, did I open a Sword Soul monster? Let me make border on the floor and she shall, all the way to, yo, I open Emergency Teleport. Let me combo into a better on the floor before my 5th summon and then make my combos. This deck is freaking phenomenal right now, and it doesn't even care about the Scythe lock. It has cards, it has enough room to be able to play around it, but this deck really, really good in today's Yu-Gi-Oh! That synchro summoning, if it goes first, it can make some really good boards and actually can fix its follow-up just slightly. A lot of players are playing wrong into this strategy, but a Metal Counter Guide should help you with that. Moving forward, Phantom Knight is another meta changer strategy. This is probably the best deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Guys. This is in this order. I believe this may be in order. These are not so much in order, but Phantom Knight is ridiculously good. Being able to artifact Scythe lock you twice in one turn if you negate the first one, then being able to play those trap cards to be able to negate in Fog Blade. On top of that, having the best grind game, probably as good as Eldritch, is ridiculously powerful. Pure Tri-Brigade and Melfi Tri-Brigade are both tier 1 strategies. They have the resources to be able to play a ton of hand traps to stop you from doing all that crazy stuff. And on top of that, this strategy is just bonkers. One thing I do want to take the time out is mention Melfi Tri-Brigade. Not only is this good in Master Duel, it's also phenomenal inside of Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. Being able to make Herald of Arclight, being able to search, not Divine Arsenal, being able to search Alpha the Masculine Beast. It's kind of ridiculous how good Pure and Melfi Tri-Brigade are. And last is Virtual World. Virtual World is easily a tier 1 strategy, guys. Sorry that I gave you guys a little bit of a trimmer for a bit. You was like, yo, no Virtual World, what's going on? No, Virtual World's still really good. There are 4 ways to currently play Virtual World. There's the pure version, there's the adventure token version, which I did a deck profile on. You can go ahead and check it out. There's the punk version. The punk version is still really, really good. And there's the Sword Soul version. So Virtual World probably has like the biggest boom, as you can play 4 different types of Virtual World in Yu-Gi-Oh, which is really cool. And it also has so many other ways to interact with the opponent, but the baseline is Shen banishes everything on field, and Chu-Che gives you a Trident interaction, being able to destroy face-up cards every single turn, once per turn, by giving you resources back into your deck. And that is all for today's tier list. I really hope you enjoyed it. It was extremely fun going over some of the top decks in Yu-Gi-Oh, as well as the new cards from Battle of Chaos. Please let me know if there's something that I missed, or is a particular strategy a little too low? Are you upset with Blue Eyes Zombie? Are you upset with Blue Eyes and Zombie? Should they be higher? Go ahead and let me know. Again, if you want to catch me on Twitch, you can do it at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today, but as well as check out these videos, as I'll catch you on the next one.